Her name is an insult, a synonym for all things wicked, manipulative, and profane. A villain painted in a single, dark color. For millennia, her story has been a simple cautionary tale. But history is rarely simple, and it's always written by the victors. What if the monster we remember was, in fact, a queen fighting for her identity in a land determined to erase her? What if the monster we remember was, in fact, a queen fighting for her identity in a land determined to erase her? She was raised in a world of culture and commerce, fiercely proud of her heritage and her gods, Baal and Asherah. She was a political pawn, married to King Ahab to forge an alliance. She was expected to leave her old life and her faith behind. Jezebel refused to be erased. Upon arriving in Israel, she did the unthinkable. She brought her gods with her. She sponsored her own prophets and built grand temples. To her, it was an act of faith. To the locals, it was an invasion. This act of defiance brought her into direct conflict with Israel's powerful prophet, Elijah. It was a clash of civilizations. The conflict came to a head on Mount Carmel. Her prophets versus the lone prophet of Yahweh, a test of divine power. When fire consumed Elijah's sacrifice, it was more than a miracle. It was a devastating political defeat for the queen. Humiliated and furious, Jezebel swore vengeance on Elijah, cementing her reputation as the sworn enemy of Israel's God. But her most infamous act was yet to come. Her husband, King Ahab, coveted a vineyard owned by a commoner named Naboth. When Naboth refused to sell, King Ahab fell into a childish despair. Jezebel saw his weakness as a threat to the crown. She took matters into her own hands. In her world, the monarch's will was absolute. Defiance was treason. She had Naboth framed for blasphemy, a crime punishable by death. It was ruthless, brutal, and politically effective. She delivered the vineyard to her husband, upholding what she believed was the absolute authority of the throne. But power built on blood is fragile. Years later, King Ahab was killed in battle, leaving Jezebel vulnerable. She was now a widow in a hostile land. Her enemies, empowered by the prophets, began to circle. The prophet Elisha anointed a new king, a ruthless general named Jehu, with one mission: destroy Ahab's entire line. And Jehu's primary target, the ultimate symbol of the old regime, was Queen Jezebel herself. When Jezebel heard her killer was coming, she did not run. She did not hide. She knew her story was over. But she would write the final sentence herself. She would not die a victim. She would die a queen. She went to her chambers and painted her eyes, a final act of adornment and royal dignity. She dressed herself in her full royal regalia, preparing to meet her fate on her own terms. She faced her murderer from the window, not with a plea, but with a final, cutting insult. Her last act of defiance. At Jehu's command, her own servants threw her down to the street below. The prophecy of Elijah was fulfilled. When they went to bury her, the dogs had left almost nothing behind. Her story was written by those who destroyed her. They made her a monster, but perhaps she was simply a queen who refused to bow, a foreigner who refused to be silenced, a forgotten queen whose tragedy was not her wickedness, but her unwavering and ultimately fatal pride.